Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. You know, before we start any magic product review, we're going to begin with a quick fiddle tune. So here we go. All right, there we go. Anyway, welcome to the channel, everyone. If you're brand new here, I'm FiddlinJonny, and this is my fiddle channel and magic product review. I think it's your only magic product reviewer out there who also plays the fiddle during their reviews. At any rate, let's talk about today's release that I'm going to review. It is Crazy Sam's Handcuffs, released by, done by Sam Huang, and it is released through Hanson Chien Productions. Anyway, this is sort of a big release in my opinion, as it is sort of the next evolution, or as Hanson Chien likes to say, the next revolution of Crazy Man's Handcuffs. I think there are things about this release that are going to be really important for you to know if you are considering it, and I'm going to go into great detail about those things. So stick around, and we'll get right into this review. All right. Let's get into Crazy Sam's Handcuffs by Sam Huang, and it's released through Hanson Chien Productions. So what is Crazy Sam's Handcuffs? It is, in my opinion, the next evolution of Crazy Man's Handcuffs, which was made famous by Michael Amar. Let's talk about what is it. It's essentially, it's a rubber band penetration effect where you take two rubber bands, and despite that you show that they cannot penetrate one another, you're able to make them penetrate one another. The history of Crazy Man's Handcuffs is that when you do that, you're only able to start, oops, I just threw my rubber band away. Fine. You're only able to do the rubber band in terms of the delinking of the rubber bands. The advancement with Crazy Sam's handcuffs is that you're able to link and unlink them. And it's so super visual, can be done quickly or slowly if you desire, and still works perfectly if you want to combine it with Crazy Man's Handcuffs. That's what the effect is. And if you're not familiar with Crazy Man's Handcuffs, it actually started off in 1970. In 1970, it was actually created by a magician called Arthur Setterington, and he called it The Getaway. Now, when he released it, it took a while for it to sort of catch on, and eventually in 1972, Herb Zero updated the handling and sort of cleaned it up. So 2 years later, we've got this version that's closer to what we have today. And then in 1989, most of us, certainly me, it was through Michael Amar and his release of Crazy Man's Handcuffs that I think is the version that we know today, has become super popular, so much so that even David Copperfield performed it on 2 different TV specials, used it in his touring show, and despite that he obviously does large stage illusions, really focused on when he wanted to do really nice close-up sleight of hand. Crazy Man's Handcuffs is what he did. So this is an evolution of that, and in my opinion, it is an improvement or an advancement on Crazy Man's Handcuffs. And I'm going to say a couple things about it. It's kind of amazing to me, the method or the move. It's so ridiculously easy that it's shocking it took this long to see this kind of an update. The move is really simple. That should not be confused with how good it might look and the practice it's going to require, which I'll talk a little bit about later. But yeah, it definitely is an advancement on where we have been historically with the Crazy Man's Handcuff routine. All right, let's talk a little bit about what are you going to get. So I had an advanced review copy of it, so I don't have the physical product. If you order it, you'll get a physical product. The things that are included is a tutorial, and you're going to get a 40-minute tutorial, And you're also going to get a package of rubber bands. And I think it's about 20 rubber bands that you'll get. And you also get some of the Hanson Chien specialty rubber bands, I think a star and the phallus symbol as well. So if you're curious about those will be included. So let's talk a little bit about, the tutorial that's 40 minutes in length. So it's actually filmed originally in Chinese, and then it is overdubbed for those. If you don't speak Chinese, you can watch it in Chinese. If you don't speak Chinese, you can have it watch it overdubbed in English, which I really enjoyed because one, the overdubbing was really good, but you get these moments like old kung fu type of movies where the lips are moving, but it doesn't match the words, and so it just made me giggle a little bit. Still very good and excellent. You can also watch it with just subtitles, and there are subtitles just in English, Spanish, French, German, Japanese, Korean, traditional Chinese, and simplified Chinese. So no matter where you're at in the world, and whatever your primary language is, you have an option with a lot of different subtitles in which you can watch this tutorial. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how are the instructions, or how is the tutorial. I'm going to tell you that each time I watched it, I had a different experience. And I'll tell you at this point, I've watched it at least 3 full times with a level of intention. The very first time I watched it, I walked away with, oh my God, the move is so simple. This is awesome, right? As a person who loves Crazy Man's Handcuffs. And so I found it very simple. I felt like they went nice and slow for me so I could understand what was happening. And it starts off with sort of, in essence, getting the basic handling and the simplest routine, and then into more advanced routines. I felt like the simple routine was great. You'll learn the move, you're able to do it. If you don't want to do the advanced routines, you don't even need to bother with the advanced routines. I personally think you should. I like the advanced routines. After I practiced it a little bit and watched it in the mirror, I went, this doesn't look anything like the trailer, or it doesn't look anything like the tutorial. What am I doing wrong? So I watched it a second time, and of course, since I had put some practice in, I understood some of the things like, oh, I maybe have that angle not quite right, or I see them holding it slightly different than what I was holding. So I was able to make some of these subtle improvements, and I felt like when I then watched myself in the mirror, there was some improvement, but I was still not satisfied, going, what am I missing? So on my third time, I was watching again with a little different intent, with more experience and practice, having spent time in the mirror to see what it looks like, and picked up even more things. And along the way, I had different experiences like, oh, I wish they'd give me an over-the-shoulder magician's perspective rather than the spectator. That would have helped. Or I wish they would have gone over that multiple times. Or he said, like, you're going to pinch it with your ring finger and middle finger, but I'm like, is that on the left hand or on the right hand? But each time I watched it, I realized that they had actually sort of addressed my concerns. And even though it may have not been in that moment when I felt like, oh, I need to know this right now, 5 minutes later, they're addressing sort of what my concern was. So despite sort of like at moments where I felt like, oh, I wish they would have done this differently, they actually do address it in different places. So if you have that experience, don't be surprised. And don't be surprised if you're confused at first. Despite that I'm mentioning that it was, the move was so easy, I had a number of moments, especially on my first and second time, going like, I don't understand that exactly, but I got the move and the overall handling, so this should be fine. So don't be surprised if you have, a little bit of confusion and watching it a couple times. I'm just going to say, just expect to watch the 40-minute tutorial multiple times until you feel like you really have it down. So again, let's talk a little bit about the tutorial and what you're getting all there. I'll say it again, this is really an improvement over the Crazy Man's Handcuffs. It's ridiculously easy what the move is, but do not underestimate the level of practice you will need to bring in order for it to look like it does on the trailer. All right, let's see, what else would I add about it? What you're going to do is you're going to get Hanson Chien and Sam are going to go through the basic handling. So Sam, who created it, is going to go through the move. He's going to go really nice and slow with it. That is how the tutorial is going to start with, and the penetration just looks really, really good. In addition to that, then you're going to get some advanced handling, and you're going to get other contributors and what their perspectives is. So you're going to get an application of it through Dr. Cyril Thomas is going to do a version that he has. You're going to get Nicholas Lawrence providing sort of his variation on it. And they're all using the method, but using it with different items. So you can do this penetration method with different sorts of things. Like you can do it with playing cards that are rolled up to sort of look like cigarettes. You could do it with cigarettes. With scissors and the circles where you put your fingers on the scissors and linking the band into such a physical object like the scissors. You can do one where you link it onto your hand as so. You can do it with linking bracelets. You can do penetrating pens and Sharpies. All different forms of sort of items that you could use to do the penetration. And also it will have on there, Hanson Chien is going to do a tutorial on Crazy Man's Handcuffs as well. So you're going to get that on top of the rest of it. So normally I would, I guess the takeaway here is with the tutorial is that anticipating on watching it multiple times, I think they do a good job of giving you both perspectives of spectator and performer point of view. And it does go slow enough in places for you to really see what's happening, but it's going to require a lot of practice to make it look really good. Normally I would talk about now like how is the gimmick? There's no gimmick. The beauty of this is that it is just 2 rubber bands and 2 hands. If you got those, you can do this effect. And there's nothing gimmicked about any of the rubber bands. There's nothing gimmicked about it at all. Let's talk about the skill level. And I mentioned this a couple times. It's beginner skill level. The move is so ridiculously easy, it's shocking. It does require practice, and I think it requires a fair amount of practice. This is the sort of effect that I would just normally like, well, let's show it to you and perform it. Out of respect for the creator, I'm not going to do this. Maybe I'll show you some of the shots of it, because I still need some practice on it, and I feel like if I was to perform it now for camera, it is not ready. And in so doing, I feel like it might give away the method, and out of respect to the creator, I don't want to do that. I'm going to put more practice into it. I want to, because I want to be able to perform this forever. But that's why you're not seeing me doing a demo of it. All right, skill level. I talked beginner. All right, let's talk about the pros here. Look, there's no setup. If you got 2 rubber bands, boom, you are ready to go. It's wonderful everyday carry for folks. I think if you like organic objects to do magic with, it's great. Rubber bands are just normal organic objects. If you like to hand it out, there's nothing to hide. You start and end clean. They're just normal rubber bands. It's really nice for close-up magic. This is, I think some people thought, well, maybe this will only work on social media. I 100% disagree. This is much like Crazy Man's Handcuffs, can be done in the real world and very close up, to be exact. I think once you have this mastered, you have a worker forever. I think another pro here, it's not a card trick. If you do lots of card tricks and you want to have something else, boom. I think that's definitely a pro because it's not a card trick. I think if you're a strolling magician, actually I think at all levels, whether you're a strolling magician, you just like to show friends or co-workers magic, you like to go to the pub and show your mates a magic trick, it is great on that level for the casual performer as much as it is for the professional. There's no setup on this, and it's an instant reset because there's no setup, no get readies, all that sort of stuff. Let's talk about the cons. Now, in my opinion, this could have just been a download. In fact, I think there are many folks out there who already have rubber bands and could have just done with a downloadable tutorial. So I'm not exactly sure why they chose it to do it with an actual physical object and sending you rubber bands. But that would be one of my critiques about it. It's not to take away from the effect or the tutorial in any way. Just would have been nice just to be a download. There's a subtle angle sensitivity here, and when I say angle sensitivity, it's really about your own hand placement and getting that down right. So just to be aware of that, but you can perform it, on all sides. Let's see. I think one other thing in terms of my cons, I think I would have liked just a little bit more of the performer's point of view from a camera shot as opposed to spectator's view. I feel like that's a quibble, but something at points I felt like, oh, I want to see it from the performer's side. because it does look different from when you're performing it than what it looks like for the spectator, in my opinion. And that sounds weird, like I think the spectator view is just really better, and since I know what the method is, sometimes I feel like, oh, this can't look that good, but for the spectator it should look really good. All right, the other con is that I'm going to say this repeatedly: please put in the time to practice this before you go out and perform it. I think it's such a nice, wonderful advancement on the Crazy Man's Handcuffs, and I think if not performed well, it will tip the method. And since it's such a beautiful piece of illusion, I think it deserves the time and practice. So if you get it, please put in the practice time before you go out and perform it for people. All right, who's gonna like this? People who love rubber band magic, people who like close-up magic, people who like organic everyday objects, and people who like EDC type of objects. You're gonna love this. Strolling magicians, street performers, great for the casual performer all the way up to the professional performer, and great for close-up magicians. So I think this crosses a lot of lines in terms of likability and folks who are going to like it. Let's talk about the cost. In the United States, it is $24.95, and you're going to get the tutorial and 20 or so rubber bands. And I think it's a piece of magic that you'll perform forever if you like to do rubber band magic. I'm not someone who does a lot of rubber band magic. I watch some folks who do rubber band magic. I go, oh man, that looks awesome. I just don't perform a lot of it. I do Crazy Man's Handcuffs myself from time to time, and that's about it. I suspect if you already do a lot of rubber band magic, you will pick this up really fast and be ready to start performing pretty quickly. All right, so if you're interested in purchasing it, you can purchase it directly through Hanson Chien Productions. I'll leave a link down in the description below for you to be able to get there. You can also get this through any Murphy's Magic retailer, distributed there as well. So lots of places in which you can get this. All right, I hope that's helpful for everybody. If you do rubber band magic, let me know. Let me know what you like to perform with rubber band magic. If you purchased this and you had additional thoughts, put that down in the comments so that folks who are watching this review will also get additional thoughts and perspective from you as a person who may have picked this up and purchased it. All right, that's it. I hope this is really helpful for you all. Make sure to like and subscribe as well. It's always appreciated. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I'm FiddlinJonny, and remember to keep fiddling around with your magic. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.